Coach. They getting in here, Coach. They getting in here.
You think they ready for you, man? They miss you?
I'd like to welcome you to the HBCU Coaches Corner. And I'm the co-host along with the host himself, the swag legend, the swag champion, none other than Johnnie Cole.
What's going on, man? What's happening? What's happening? Boy, it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
You doing? Yeah, Coach. We took us a week out, Coach. We deserve a couple weeks off after having to work through the holidays, Coach, with all the fiasco that was going on over at FAMU and other places related to coaching. So we earned a couple weeks off, Coach. But before we get started, Coach, tell me how you doing.
Man, I've been doing well, Coach. You know, just about to start spring breaking a little bit. You know, now, I'm in the rep in 707 here in the state of Arizona. And every weekend, they have big tournaments. 75 and 100 different teams coming from all over the state, and sometimes coming from out of town, and get an opportunity to see a lot of talent and see a lot of things happening. And of course, I'm a coach, and I look at the game a lot different than a regular person would. But I do see some talent. I do see some things that need to be corrected. And, I try to stick my nose in there every now and then, but most of the time, I just try to control myself and control these youngsters on moving forward in their career.
Hey, Coach, you what I would call a football junkie, no doubt, Coach. You're a football junkie. Like I say, if it ain't coaching, it's playing. If it ain't coaching, it's reffing. And if it ain't reffing, it's watching. You know what I mean? So you're a football junkie. I love the game too, Coach, and I completely understand how you feel about it.
Only bad game I've seen in 2020, bad football game I've seen in 2024 so far was the Super Bowl. It probably was the worst Super Bowl I've seen in my days that I at least started understanding the game.
What stuck out for you in the Super Bowl, Coach, that made it a bad game?
Well, the turnovers. Too many turnovers for pros, too many missed assignments. You get holding calls back to back. Kansas City was horrible in the first half offensively. Then the second half, San Francisco came in there with a game plan of we're gonna run the ball, we're gonna run the pass, and then they changed it all up and ran the ball one time in the third quarter. Who does that? You're asking for a failure. You let Patrick Mahomes stay within striking distance, he gonna strike. That's the old saying. The guy who'd seen a snake hurt and picked him up and fed him and everything else, and when the snake got healthy, he turned around and bit him. and the man asked him why, and the snake said, "You knew I was a snake when you picked me up." You can't do Patrick Mahomes like that. You can't leave him in the game. He gon' when it's time, he gonna come back and he gonna make it happen.
Well, Coach, what I noticed about the game is that Andy Reid came into the game really seemed like with a really conservative game plan. I thought starting off, even though they did throw it, I think he threw an interception, but he really conservative. He didn't really what I would consider try a whole lot of things that were out of the box early in the first half. Now, what I also say, Coach, San Francisco had the ball a lot in the first half as well, so that may have led to some of the conservative approach that KC took. But I thought usually Coach Reid is known for his innovation and trick plays and all that kind of stuff, and it seemed like San Francisco had the they took the chances early on and built up a pretty good lead.
Well, one of the things, see, what people don't understand about being a good offensive coordinator is about rhythm. It's about rhythm. It's about feeling the game. And when you're not getting those opportunities, like Andy Reid and the pressure of that game, he was uncoordinated, I thought. And like you said, it looked like he was real conservative. He couldn't get in the groove because they kept on going 1, 2, 3 and out, 1, 2, 3 and out. So it's about getting in a groove, and I think he didn't do that. Of course, in the second half, he did that, start getting in the groove of calling plays back to back. But the game was, like I said, it was one of the most uh, games that one of the games that Super Bowls I've seen that really wasn't excited. A lot, like I said, a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes, a lot of third and long situations. And I've seen games where there were blowouts, but this game, everybody, it was built up to be a um, big scoring, a lot of scoring going on in this game, and it definitely wasn't.
Well, I thought the defenses were especially Kansas City's defense, the way they were able to contain Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I thought for certain they would be effective against San Francisco and McCaffrey. And it ends up, they were somewhat effective against him. McCaffrey still got 70 yards rushing. I want to say he got 70 yards passing. So, he got off. But there were no real, what I would consider big explosive plays that I can remember by McCaffrey. And the main thing they did is I really think they dinged him up in the second half, Coach. And when he went out the game, the coach didn't have confidence to hand it off to the backup running back. And can you talk about that, Coach? What would lead to a situation where you have your bell cow running back, you are a running team, and when that guy gets hurt, you don't have the confidence to get a ball to your backup? What is that all about?
Well, I mean, it's always been for me the next guy up. And unfortunately for me, playing in the SWAC championship against Grambling back in 2002, my backup is the one end up fumbling the ball, and we're on the 1 yard line going in for the win, and he's trying to get an extra yard. He turns the ball over, man. So it's a psychological thing that you go through. Do you trust your backup? And I want to say his name is Mitchell, the backup.
Yes, you're right.
He's a pretty good back. He used to be a star back, So I'm just surprised that they didn't just put him in, and if McCaffrey was hurt in the third quarter, stay with your plan and give him the football. But you can't run the ball in the third quarter one time when you go into the game and saying that their defense is weak of the run. Then you going and saying that now I'm gonna go into the mouth of the defense and I'm gonna force my wheel on them in the third quarter to see what happened. But what happened was nothing. So I think you probably should have stayed with your game plan.
Yeah, Coach. I didn't think there was any value in putting the game in Brock Purdy's hands, right? I didn't think that was a winning formula for them. And I just simply said it like this. If Lamar Jackson couldn't do it for Baltimore, then Brock Purdy wasn't going to be able to do it for San Francisco. It was going to have to be the other guys. It was going to have to be some other guys.
I'm surprised they didn't get the ball to the Debo enough.
I think he was covered, Coach. The best pair, there was a widely known. Well, it wasn't widely known, but the best secondary in the NFL, based on for Pro Football Focus, the best secondary was Kansas City all year long, right?
Well, they can't cover him if he's in the backfield.
Oh, now that's a great point. Now,
you see what I'm saying? Great point. I mean, he does it all. You know what I mean? They gave him the toss one time. I think that he picked up some yards, but that was about it. They hit him with a quick screen. One, I think he made some people miss, and one that kind of caught him. But I mean, you in this situation, in any situation, any good coordinator is going to get the ball to his playmakers, no matter how it is.
Well, Coach, if you pay attention to the game, they really didn't try to get the ball to Debo until McCaffrey was dinged up.
Right.
You know, and
I think both coaches, they were underneath a lot of pressure. They did not relax and get into how their systematic way of calling plays. I wasn't real impressed with neither this game. For some reason, I don't know, was it pressure? Was they wanted to be conservative? Did they come in the game and say, we're going to let our defense win the game or not? But they both, they came with a big trick play. I thought, of course, it scored, called them off guard, but kind of like that was it. It was just like everybody was tight. You know what I'm saying? And making mistakes after mistake after mistake.
I thought the same thing, Coach. But all in all, the team that I anticipated would win actually won. It was surprising to me that they were actually the underdog in the game because I thought they had the better quarterback and the better defense, But it turned out to be a really it was a game, and it went into overtime. And I think, okay, Coach, with the modified overtime rules in the playoffs, Coach, let me ask you this. Understanding what you know now, do you take the ball first or do you defer in that situation in overtime?
I have to be honest. If I went back to my last head coaching job and my defense was played real good football, I'm going to get the ball to them. And then that'll determine what I need to do. You make that defense off of who you feel is better on you. If I had a great offense, give me the ball. I'm going to put pressure on them. But if my defense is better, I'm going to give them the ball and hope my defense stop. Then my play calling mind goes to something different. It's all about mindset. It's all about the mindset.
Well, I will say that the San Francisco defense had been on the field for what 13 consecutive plays, and I don't know that it factored into Coach Shanahan's decision, but I think considering that would be something that I definitely would consider as a coach, the number of plays that my quarterback would be in. This is what I think ultimately determined the situation. Do you want Brock Purdy in the game in overtime behind? Or would you rather him be tied when he has the ball? And in my opinion, I would much rather him be tied than behind. What about you, Coach?
I like Brock Purdy. I like him. I'm in Arizona. I go by the high school that he went to. Matter of fact, I was talking with a guy who's a CEO of a company out here that was helped raise Brock Purdy. And I like him, Coach. I like him. He's smooth. He can deliver. He can make all the throws. He's smart. Coach, I like him. Coach, he's the last person chosen in the draft.
Coach,
and
that's the point, Coach. That's the point, Coach. If you have every other component in your offense, he's a great delivery boy. If you have two wide receivers, if you have a quality running back, if you have a tight end, if you are a great play caller based on situation and scheme. But what can you get from him when it's not there, Coach? And I think
Well, let me say this: you can get a chance to play in the Super Bowl. Let's just start there, okay? And I remember a team named Baltimore Ravens with a Trent Differ who won a championship. I can remember a team that won another Super Bowl. He came up and then he blanked out of my mind. Won another Super Bowl. It didn't have to be great, Coach.
You talking about Brad Johnson? You talking about Brad Johnson?
Who?
From Tampa Bay, Brad Johnson.
No, not. Well, that's another one. That's another one. So he is just what you ordered, Coach. I have no problem with Brock Purdy. I can't take. He's in the Super Bowl,
Coach. I understand that, Coach.
Coach, he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL to me.
No, but see, that's what I say, Coach. Now let me ask you this, and I'm gonna put this in a situation with a lineman, with an unblocked defensive lineman running straight at Brock Purdy. I mean, who would you rather have, Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes?
No, I'd rather have an offensive tackle that can block that son of a gun. Nobody's going to run into like that. Let's get that straight. We can't even go there, Coach. I can't go there with you. I'm a coach. That never happened.
I understand, Coach. Let me see what he said. Is Brock Purdy good, or the pieces around him make him look good? I think it's a combination.
Brock Purdy is good for San Francisco. Brock Purdy got great people around him. Let me ask you this: would you want Jackson? You think if Jackson was the quarterback of San Francisco, they'd have won the Super Bowl?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Do you think Brock Purdy could have took Baltimore to the championship?
No.
Okay.
No, Coach, I understand, and we can move on to the HBCU Combine here shortly. But here's my point, Coach. Me as a defensive guy, like I look at the game from a defensive perspective, right?
Right.
I would much rather have a guy that can make a play behind the center than a guy who's a sitting duck or just an operator, right? Because an operator, right, when you call the play is there, he can get the play that's there. I get that. But I want a guy who would, when it breaks down, can make one or two plays to change the game. That's what I want. Because I know how demoralizing that can be from a defensive perspective. I know offensive coaches like guys who can execute their offense. That's what it sounds like to me. They don't care about the improvisation as much as they care about the system, right? And I'm wondering if that's your opinion as well, Coach. Do you care about the system more than the ability to freelance and make plays? Go ahead.
Name a. Are we talking about Super Bowl or college period? Name a team who's won the Super Bowl with a running quarterback.
You notice I didn't say running quarterback, Coach.
Well, that's what we're talking about. I mean, come on, man. Name a Super Bowl when somebody has won a championship with a running quarterback. Years ago, when my man from the Atlantic Falcons came into the league, Michael Vick, and I was out recruiting, and I ran into a coach from Louisiana Tech, and he was a defensive guy. And I said, man, this guy would never win a Super Bowl. Man, are you crazy? Man, he was a defense. We went on and on. Man, he's going to put pressure on the defense. Man, I said, he'll never win a Super Bowl. There's not been one running quarterback where he ran first and passed second has won the Super Bowl. And I still believe that even on the college level is a lot different. Because then you could look at when Texas beat USC in the championship. And my man down from Houston, Texas, ran all over USC at the end. But in pros, You got defensive linemen that run just as fast. And that's what kills me about black kids that play quarterback. We don't teach them the fundamentals of the game because they drop back. I see it all the time and scramble all around, miss every read. They go by, they don't hit their primary guy, they don't hit their secondary guy, they make it happen. And nobody comes back and coach them up. So they go through their whole career making plays. Then when they get to the meat of it, when everybody else out there on the field on defense is just as good as you, then we get stuff like what the Baltimore Ravens did, lay the egg. I don't know why they went there and says the same thing happened to Jackson the first time they went to the playoffs is the same thing happened to him this year. They went in the game throwing the football. They ran quarterback counter one time with Jackson, and it bust for about 9 yards. Didn't run him no more before, nor did they run him afterwards. You got to be able to have people in place that make plays. A quarterback's job is to deliver the ball and get me 4 yards, Rocky. 4. You know why I said 4? Because if he can scramble 4 times, 3 times, that is a what? First down.
Hey, coach.
I'm coaching you now. I'm coaching you up.
I'm not gonna argue with you about that. After all, you the coach, but you know, I like guys who are playmakers. And my guy Mike Vick is one of my all-time favorite players, and I don't think he didn't win a championship because of his ability to run. I think he didn't win a championship because he wasn't on a team that was good enough. But this is a good question right here that someone put up here. It said, did you talk about Shanahan made the defensive coordinator the fall guy for the loss? What do you think about that, Coach?
Bull, can we get cuss on this?
Yeah.
Shanahan is bullshit. That brother that he keep on going to one job. Man, look, that brother got it. Well, I guess he got money, so he ain't got to worry about paying his bills. But if he wasn't making a lot of money, we would be seeing him on the state capitol building shooting people. He did not cost him that game. They piled up on him. Coach, he held Mahone to 25 points. He held Kelsey to what? 2 catches? 2 or 3 catches? That was not the defensive fault at all. Do we understand that the first quarter, Coach, he went 1, 2, 3 out, 1, 2, 3 out, 1, 2, and the offense did not put Kansas City away.
Coach, I don't believe he lost the game because of his performance in the Super Bowl, Coach. I believe he lost the game because of the performance of Jordan Love with Green Bay and then Detroit. Those games lost him his job, in my opinion. Because those games, they got worked offensively.
Can I say this to you?
Go ahead.
Kansas City's offense stunk the whole year. Stunk.
I agree.
Well, who held them down? The defense. So what are we talking about?
Well, what I'm saying is, Coach, Green Bay put up 30 points, and I think Detroit put up 30 points too in the NFC Championship game. That's where I think Wilkes lost his job right there by giving up that many points in those 2 big games to those quarterbacks. You know what I mean? It ain't like he was giving it those Goff and what's the other kid? Jordan Love. That ain't Brady and Peyton Manning. Those aren't those guys.
Well, the week before that, Love had a great game the week before.
I mean, don't remind me.
Love had a game the week before that. That kid is a player. And let me say this. Closest only counting horseshoes, baby.
Yeah.
Win, baby, win. Sometimes it's going to be the offense, sometimes. But he's held the best quarterback in the NFL in the last 5 years to 25 points. And really 19 in the Super Bowl. I think he got a bad deal on that, man.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I don't believe he deserved to be fired. You know what I mean? I don't believe he deserved to be fired. But it ain't like he was coaching the 85 Bears. I'm not saying that either. You know what I mean? And here's another thing, Coach. Let's talk about this. San Francisco has one of the highest paid defenses in the league, right? And when you have that high paid, especially on the defensive line, you do want better results than what you were getting, even against, they weren't able to put together any pressure against Mahomes late in the game.
Yeah, let me ask you in our fan base, and they can put down there, who y'all think lost the football game, the Super Bowl? Defense or offense?
This is my man Sherrod Hagar said it was a racist move. And my man said facts.
This is what I think too. Of course, that always have something to do with it because we don't get second, third, fourth, fifth chances. So that's somewhat true. But I think that you remember when Shanahan called a timeout, and I think Gaddy might have man coverage and they moved the zone.
Mm-hmm.
There was, to me, right there was some shift going on. There was some stuff going on between them. So I don't think I'll even go back farther than that. I think this has been going on longer than just what I'm gonna
I agree, Coach. Because
my man likes to play a lot of man coverage. I'm an offensive coordinator myself. And I used to, my brother used to be my defensive coordinator. And of course, I love him to death. He likes that man coverage. And I used to be like, LC, just keep him in front of you. I'm going to score. Don't you worry about it. Keep him in front of you. And
Coach, this guy right here, Coach?
Yeah, I know that guy right there.
What's up, Coach?
I know that guy, 29 touchdowns. Let me give you his stat. 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, Coach. 2,900 yards in 9 games. All-American, led our offense to number 4 in NAIA football. Still holds the record, Coach. Several records in the KCAC. Bad boy right there.
Hey, good to meet you, Derek. How you doing, Derek?
I'm doing well, Rocky. I'm doing well. What's up, Coach?
What's up, baby? And
Rocky. Man, just checking in, man. Trying to get my football IQ up a little bit. Listen to you and Rocky.
Listen to him. Look, and he's a Texas Southern graduate, and he's a businessman. That's my guy.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, we were just wrapping up our conversation with the Super Bowl, but I definitely wanted to go over these HBCU combine results, Derek. Can you hang on with us as we go through these combine results?
Yeah, as long as you start out with my man down there, Ladarius, running a 4-4 at Texas Southern. You got to start out with that.
So what we got, Coach, is they don't have him on the SI article. He didn't make the SI article. The guys that made the SI article were Jonathan Huggins, a safety from Jackson State. He came in at 6'1", 221, ran a 4.45, which I think that's solid for a safety. That's real good for a safety, in my opinion. Jarvion Howard measured in at 5'9", 215, ran a 4.52. I think that's solid. That's a solid. Ian Wheeler from Howard came in and ran weighed in at 203, measured at 5'10, ran a 4.57. That's solid as well.
Look, hold on, Mr. Rocky.
Yeah,
you don't overpass Texas. Let me read the NFL report.
Okay.
Darius Owens, running back from Texas Southern University, Orange was the bright spot on the struggle Tigers offense as he led the all HBCU player and finished with 202 carries with 1,370 yards and over 3,000 yards in his career. The first learned all Southwest African Conference is a solid pass catcher out of the backfield. Although he wasn't asked to do much at the college combine, but he can pick up a blitz as well. He will be on the NFL team.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
That's tough, bro. And he ran a what, Derek?
4.44.
So he 4.4. He catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can run his own play. And he's big enough to pick up blitzing linebackers. Rob, what you think?
Hey, I mean, he's what I would call a natural runner, right? With his hand, with his ball, the ball is in his hands. He gonna be able to get it done, right? You don't necessarily have to have some type of special running scheme for him. He has the ability to make people miss as well as great vision. So running the ball will not be a challenge for him at the next level. I believe, like a lot of guys, adjusting to the speed of the game, learning the playbook, and getting accustomed to pass protection and things like that. That's where he will challenge, because he has all the right tangible skills to be a good running back in the NFL.
Now you're gonna like this one. You're gonna like this one, Rocky. Davius Richard, quarterback of North Carolina Central. A 4-year starter with the Eagles, Richard has the tools, talent, and production with his arm and legs to be an integral quarterback prospect. Richard finished his college career with 8,991 yards, 73 passing touchdowns, and 2,000 rushing with 44 TDs. On the ground, he's one of the most electrical dual threat talent in the country, and in my opinion, a finalist for the William B. Campbell Trophy of 2023. Richards was described by North Carolina Central coach Trey Oliver as a strong yet humble leader who remains even keel under pressure. His work ethic and playmaking ability should be over displayed in this week. That's what the NFL said about it.
I love Davius Richards.
That's your guy.
Yeah, and however, 6'2", 225, that's great size for a quarterback. But I would actually expected him to come in running faster than a 4.6. He ran a 4.6 flat. And as a quarterback that was a dual threat, I question, is that enough speed in the NFL to get away from blitzing linebackers, defensive ends, and defensive backs, coming off the slot? Can he get away?
Derek was a motor. He could run the ball. He could throw the hell out of it. What you think?
I think that's more than enough speed. I mean, at the quarterback position, because his first primary thing is the ball, and he has enough speed to get away. And your average defensive lineman, they're not running 4.6s, and you have linebackers that's running faster than 4.6. But for them to be running faster than him, that means he's already in the secondary. And like Coach said, if you give me a quarterback that can get me 4 yards, he only needs to get me 4 yards every 2 plays, and we have a first down.
I drilled it in him, Coach. I drilled it in him, baby. But Rob, you just was saying, we just were talking about Purdy not being able to get in extend plays. This kid, to me, is a Purdy. He's smart. He's intelligent. Yeah. He's a leader, and he's got running skills. Remember now, Rock, he beat Jackson State by himself.
Well, Coach, let me say this. He didn't prove to be a passer, in my opinion. This is you the coach that threw with anticipation, that threw his guys open. He was a guy that hit the open guy. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
And because of that, right, I believe his strongest asset was his ability to run the football. And in college, you can get away with hitting the open guy. But in the pros, you got to throw guys open consistently, so on and so forth. Maybe that's a skill that can be developed by being in the game. You know what I mean? But but he does have a good arm. Hey, no doubt about it. He has a really good arm. But he was what your true dual threat quarterback at NCCU. He would run it about 10 to 15 times a game, and he would throw it probably about 25 times a game. So he wasn't what you would call a typical drop back passer. So we'll see. I'd like to see how his passing develops and how it shows up at the next level.
Well, my answer would be a hypothetical answer, meaning that I'll protect myself of saying I need to see more film on him to see if he can make those throws. And for him, that he played in offense that forced him to make those throws. What about you, Derek?
I would venture to say the same. I hadn't really seen the young man play. I've heard a lot about him, but I hadn't seen him play to make the determination. But Rocky, you said something that was very important, which it doesn't have to do with an HBCU player this year, but one in which have played in the HBCU that's moving on to the Big 12, which is Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders is a guy that has to work and develop more into throwing a guy open versus throwing to the open guy. I think that's the weakness in his game that I see that has to improve for him to be more successful in NFL. Now, do I think he's a first-round talent? Why, sure I do. Do I think he may be the first pick of the draft next year? Why, sure I do. But I'm saying over the course of this season, through working with his, quarterback coaches and all that, that's something that he has to work on, is throwing the guy open and not throwing to the open guy. Because if you ever see him play and you think about it, it always looked like he's throwing the ball at the last minute. And even on deep routes, I mean, he has a better than decent arm, but the hardest route to throw is a deep ball. And if you wait 20 yards, 25 yards when the guy down the field, you just throwing for distance at that point. You know what I mean? You don't have to wait that long to throw the ball. So with Shedeur Sanders, those are the things that I think to take his game to another level, he's going to have to work on. And I only mention him because he is a ex-HBCU guy that is now taking his level to a Power 5, and then we'll take it on to the NFL.
Well, let me ask you this, Derek, as a quarterback, right? Because I, as a fan of the game, I don't really understand it. But he likes holding the ball to the last minute. What is he doing when he does that? Like, why?
When you hold a ball like that, Rocky, what happens is you're a stat-driven quarterback, and you're looking at the fact that you do not want to throw interceptions. And so you hold the ball until you, like I mentioned before, you'll hold the ball until you see the guy open versus throwing him open. If you're running a comeback, that typically goes at 18 to 20 yards. But you got to throw that ball when your guy's at 13 to 14 yards, but you got to put enough velocity on it and trust that he's going to be where he's supposed to be. But if you don't trust he's going to be where he's supposed to be, or that you're going to throw an interception, you're going to hold it to the last minute, and it's going to look like a real tight thrusted throw. You know what I mean? You're going to be wound up so tight because you just wait till you get open and try to put it in because your window is so small. If you think about Brady, when Brady or Breeze throw the ball, they always throw the ball in fluid motion because they're throwing that guy open versus throwing when the guy gets open. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Coach, is that, as a coach, is that a habit that you can get a guy to break? And like I said, he throws with time and anticipation when he throws the ball behind the line of scrimmage, whether it's to a back, quick screen, something like that. But down the field, it doesn't seem like he throws with time and anticipation. So can you break that habit, Coach, of holding the ball?
Well, I mean, me and Derek has had these conversations because, again, we evaluate the game instead of watching the game, and he did a lot of that at Jackson State, and a lot of that was because I think he had a lot of disrespect for the conference, not a personal disrespect, but a challenge disrespect. He felt he was way above which he was a little bit. So he got into a bad habit of holding the ball, and all that is coaching. That's coaching. It's just like I said earlier, Rocky, and you could talk to Derek about me and his relationship as from a coach to a player. That when he did that, evidently he wouldn't coach not to do it because he did it week after week after week, and he caused a lot of sacks on himself. So yes, you can coach your player not to do that. A lot of times he might have came out of the huddle and already had his mind up where he wanted to go with the football instead of taking his read. So those are things that I work with Derek. Derek was a big arm guy. He threw the most, and I'm not saying this because he's on my show. I mean, he had one of the best delivery passing motions that you could see, Rocky. You know what I mean? Elbow up, hand over top of the ball, nose down, drive the ball. He could make any kind of throw. And he could run. He was an athlete. So my job was to make sure he was perfect, meaning get out of the way from him throwing those balls, but coaching when he wasn't doing the right thing, when he got lazy or he got overconfident. You know what I'm saying? And you got to coach those things as a player. I mean, we put up 30, 40 points, a game. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, sometimes he would get lazy. Well, I would coach him on those points, And I think with the Shedeur Sanders and his father being the head coach, I heard, as you've seen, they got rid of the offensive coordinator at Jackson State. How many offensive coordinators had at Jackson State? 2, 3?
Yeah, he's on his fourth offensive coordinator.
Now at Colorado, they had another two at Colorado. They had 3 at Jackson State. They had
well, he's on his fifth coordinator.
Fifth. So he's on his fifth guy. So I don't know if some guys was like hands off. I don't want to coach him. I don't know. But he has a lot of growing to do.
He got a guy. He's got 2 guys head coaching jobs. I know that. He's got Sean Lewis a head coaching job, and TC Taylor is currently a head coach. So
Well, he didn't get Sean Lewis a job. Sean Lewis had a job when he left, didn't he? He left Youngstown.
No. What I'm saying is, so when Sean Lewis left, Sean Lewis was a Group of 5 head coach, and with a losing record, and he comes to Colorado and gets a job, leaves that job and gets a job at San Diego State. And I think
it was because of Sanders.
Oh, okay.
He was a head coach at Kent State.
Yeah, Kent State.
He came to Colorado, and then he left and got another job. It wasn't because of Sanders.
Yeah.
Now, did he get TC Taylor that job, or because TC Taylor was alumnus? Remember, TC Taylor was just the tight end coach at Jackson State. You know what I mean? They brought in a guy, him, at Jackson State. Then they hired another guy.
Yeah. The guy from Washington State.
Jason Phillips.
Yeah.
Brought in Jason Phillips was OC as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he got them jobs. I know he got them fired. But I don't know about getting them jobs.
Well, Coach, I don't know if he necessarily got him fired, but I was just saying I just brought Shedeur up because
look, we tell the truth on this show.
No. I don't think he necessarily got him fired. I think that as we're talking about, quarterbacks and HBCUs, I brought him up because of, some of the things that you guys were talking about earlier about Lamar Jackson and Brock Purdy, and then even the controversy of, with Cam Newton talking about game managers and game changers. My thought on that is every quarterback that's in the NFL that haven't won a Super Bowl is just a game manager. Only way you become a game changer is if you win the Super Bowl. And that's the standard. It's not about who can put up the most yards. It doesn't. I mean, here in Dallas, I'm in Dallas, and Troy Aikman never had stats like Marino and all these guys.
I
But
know.
he's considered to be a game changer because he won the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott puts up numbers, and you know what people have to say about him. They don't even want to say he's a manager of the game. You know what I mean? And definitely he's not a game changer. But if he wins the Super Bowl, then he becomes a game changer. So that's my thought on the quarterbacks for what determines if you're a game changer or a game manager is if you win the Super Bowl, because that's all that matters.
Yeah, hey, can you guys hear me? I'm froze over here, but I'm gonna get unfroze in a second.
No, we can hear you, and you move.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, and as far as Troy, I mean, I think Troy, what he did was able to do on third down alone as a Dallas Cowboy, made him a game changer because he was great. Even though I'm not a huge Troy Aikman fan, because I lived through those years when he didn't have Michael Irvin, when he didn't have 2-A, when he didn't have Nate Newton, and he wasn't very good. And
well, Rocky, that's a hard judgment on a man, because you got to have athletes around you to perform, man. And Brady is not who Brady is if Brady didn't have somebody on the other end catching the ball.
I agree.
So
I agree.
Are y'all talking about Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what receiver did he have?
He had to have somebody on the other end. I mean,
I think he only played with one Hall of Famer.
Welker's going in the Hall of Fame.
That's Randall at the end. What else
is going in the Hall of Fame?
What else Hall of Famer did he have?
Wes Welker.
And when is he going in the Hall of Fame?
As soon as he's eligible, he's going.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Because he's only played with one Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he only played with one Hall of Famer today.
Hey, let's say this.
Wes Welker has a
Can I say this? Can I say this?
Gronk is going in the Hall of Fame too.
He got Randy late in his career.
So Coach, Coach Cole, what is your argument? Are you arguing that Brady is not a great Hall of Famer? I mean, I don't understand what your argument.
No. My argument is that you were making a comment about you ain't a game changer until you win a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And I disagree with that. Because it takes a team to win a Super Bowl. Great defense, running game, and a quarterback that can.
I understand what Derek is saying, though.
Let me finish. And then a manager of a game is don't lose the game. Don't lose it. Trent Dilfer wasn't he's not and he ain't even in the Super Bowl, and probably the Hall of Fame, and probably never make it. But he managed the game right because he said, but I'm not gonna turn the game, I'm not gonna turn the ball over. The defense is the way we gonna get it and give it to that tailback.
Coach.
So that's all I was making that point.
Dilfer will forever be known as a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yes, sir.
Yes, he's a change. He changed Baltimore forever.
Derek, I understand your point, and I think we're talking about labels here, right?
Well, I'm the only coach on the show, so I turn to watch.
So I agree with Coach, but I also see Derek's point. And Derek's point is that you label guys based on their guys get labeled game changers when they win Super Bowls, right? Regardless of what the facts are related to the game. Like I mean, there are a number of times Troy Aikman won big games and he threw the ball 22 times a game, right? Like,
or less.
huh?
Or less.
Yeah. So what he's saying, you know, yeah, you could throw Troy in there as a game changer just because of the amount that they won. And I say the same thing about Brock Purdy. The results that Brock Purdy gets allows people to overlook the fact that the game is set up for him when he walks into it. He's throwing to Debo. He's throwing to Ayuk. He's handing off to McCaffrey. He has Kittle right there. He often plays with a lead. Like, all those things set him up to be successful.
Well, let's ask Derek. What's your thoughts on Brock Purdy?
I think Brock Purdy, it's a reason why he was drafted where he was drafted, right? I think that anybody who is in a certain system certain people can find a certain system that works good to their advantage. I think Shanahan has done a great job to use the strengths that Brock Purdy has to help him, be elite at certain times. But Brock Purdy don't always play well when he's out there playing. For the most part, he's not going to make a lot of mistakes, but he's not going to make the great plays either. You know what I mean? So I think Purdy is a middle of the road quarterback. He's got a very average arm. He's got a lot of weapons around him, and Shanahan does a great job of calling plays to help keep the defense off balance, so that to make an easy throw for Purdy. Purdy's not throwing a lot of balls in between the linebackers and, behind one linebacker's shoulder, right in front of another linebacker when the guy's running across.
Hey, Derek, he rarely does a straight drop back game. He may have 5 or 6 straight drop back plays the entire game. Here's another reason why I say Brock Purdy is a game manager, right?
Yeah.
He rarely throws the ball outside the numbers. He throws the ball maybe once or twice. I mean, that's not a screen. I'm talking about this. That's not a screen or a smoke play. He rarely throws the ball outside the numbers. And from what I remember, that's where the elite quarterbacks show up elite, is how they deliver the ball outside the numbers, on time, on target. Am I wrong?
Okay. Now, are y'all finished? Are y'all two finished with this Madden football y'all been talking right here about Brock Purdy? This is Madden football. Let's talk about real deal. Brock Purdy is what they need in that system. Is that game dependent on Brock? No. It's dependent on the people around him. Is he Patrick Mahomes? No, he's not. He's not Patrick Mahomes.
Coach.
Brock Purdy is a system guy.
Coach,
do y'all understand? Let me finish. Singleton, I'm coaching you tonight. Let's go back 30 years and let me have the flow for a minute.
You got it, man. It's your room.
Look, Brock Purdy is a system quarterback.
Exactly.
He plays in the system. He manages the game well.
Okay.
You guys just talked about earlier what makes a quarterback a good quarterback. You guys said, well, when he wins the Super Bowl. No. I said that's a game changer. I'm saying when he gets there, Brock Purdy is a system guy. He had Garoppolo in front of him. What's the other kid?
Trey Lance
in front of him. Neither one of them. Well, he went to the Super Bowl, but he didn't win it. Purdy don't win twice. He don't took this team twice.
Coach, let me interject real quick on that. You saying the same thing I said. You just saying it with a little more enthusiasm. I just said Shanahan system helps Brock Purdy be as good as he is, right? And then to get back to why Brock Purdy is even playing is because Trey Lance got hurt and Garoppolo got hurt. That's the only reason we even know Brock Purdy can play.
You know, time out. That's what makes him great.
That don't
You
make
got
him.
the starting quarterback at Chicago Bears, can't win. Starting quarter back up at New York Jets, can't win. Back up at Cleveland Browns, can't win.
Coach,
You even got Jalen Hurts at the Eagles, can't make it happen.
Coach, let's back up to what I said. Brock Purdy is doing what he's doing because he's in the perfect system. That's the same thing you said. And I said that Shanahan calls the plays that make Brock Purdy successful. I said that. That's what you're saying. That's the system. We're talking about the same thing, but you just said it more dramatic and elaborate than what I said.
I'll say this. Systems make quarterbacks. Quarterbacks don't make systems.
I agree.
That's why those running quarterbacks don't ever win a Super Bowl.
See,
Even Doug Williams, African American, he couldn't run the ball. He wasn't a runner, but he could throw the hell out of it.
But
he won the Super Bowl.
Coach, I agree 200% with that. That's why.
Okay.
That's why.
Don't let that guy, that defensive guy on the other end of this other guy, smiling.
Again, I just have.
You got to keep him on the armchair quarterback, Coach.
I just have a style I like. I like a guy at quarterback. When everything breaks down, we still have
a
hope.
Play.
You know what I mean? Hope. You understand? Because I know coordinators believe they can dial up the perfect play each and every time. But as a defensive player, we get paid to disrupt, break that stuff up. And when we break it up, when we make the read, what can you do after that?
Man,
and I like guys who can do stuff.
You know what they call that? They call that scrambled football. That's like scrambled egg.
That's I
get tired. I seen Randall Cunningham scramble all down the damn field. He don't miss his progress. His primary, secondary, and third day. Just take off. Look at Brady. Brady couldn't even run. Couldn't even walk.
But coach, the thing that I will say this, and I'll let you guys continue with this one, is that I think Shedeur Sanders is in a system that has come from high school to Jackson State over to Colorado. And when you're in the same system, regardless of the coaches, because the coaches are adjusting to the system that he is familiar with, right? The same thing with Brady. Brady had different offensive coordinators, but they still had the same system. And as you're in the same system, you memorize certain things in the back of your mind. You know what is open, what's not open. You identify what the coverages are, and you're able to make those particular throws and make yourself even a better quarterback when you have been in those systems for a long time. So that's all I want to say about the system. And again, Brock Purdy is in Shanahan's system, so that's why he's so successful.
Well, can I put a lightning bolt through my ex-quarterback of what he just said? Brady goes on and leave the Patriots and then take Tampa Bay to the Super Bowl.
And you know what they took when Brady went down there with Bruce Arians? They took the same offense, Coach.
Some of it.
No,
not all of it.
They took the core of that offense with them to Tampa Bay. Brady ain't got time. Coach, you got to think about it. Brady too old. He ain't got time to learn a new offense. They going to cater the offense to him because it's easier. It's easier.
Don't be.
That's why they won the Super Bowl.
I agree with Derek in this regard. When you got a quarterback that's won 6 Super Bowls and you want him to be successful early in his tenure in your program, you're gonna bring some of the things he likes over with it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's checks, audibles, adjustments, you're gonna bring that stuff over with him because it obviously.
Hey, also, Rocky, you gonna bring one of the somebody he let live in his house is called Antonio Brown. You gonna bring a lot with him.
Hey, Rocky, let me ask.
And Gronk, you brought Gronk as well.
Let me ask my quarterback here. Let me give you the background. When Derek came to Texas Southern, coach, he wasn't really ready mental because he was a young kid, 17, 18 years old, coming into a system. All right. We threw the 62 route there, right? Didn't we, Derek? You remember 62?
Yes, sir. Backwards and forward.
Huh?
I do backwards and forward.
We got a go route. We throw the tail.
You got a sail route. You got backside post in.
Backside post in.
Yeah,
the one
back
that
in the flat.
City, that Kelsey catch all the time. Whether he catch it on the back shoulder, whether he catch the out, or whether they drop it down to him right there.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, when at Texas Southern, we ran that same route with them other two quarterbacks that was in front of you, right?
Exactly.
They stopped. They were stinking. We said that Derek is the guy. but for some reason, our staff didn't think you were ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you made a choice to come with me for my first offensive coordinator job.
Okay.
You made a living off of that.
Coach, but let me
finish for 1 minute. Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you understood the play.
Exactly.
Same system, different quarterback, but you understood the system. That's what make Grady great. I understand the system. I get you. The more familiar with everywhere everybody going, the more familiar you could be successful.
Yes.
But it's that other part that the quarterback spot, the mind think and understand the play.
Yes.
Because plays, Coach, it ain't that many different plays, Rocky. It ain't that many different plays.
It's only so many routes.
Quarterback execute. Yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Say what now?
No, he's saying go ahead.
No. I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying and that's why I'm so strong in saying it's the system that make quarterbacks great and how long they can be in the system. If they can get in the right system, they can be very successful, right? Because at Texas Southern, I was in that system. Although I did not play on the field, I still was in the classroom and I was in that system. So when it was time for me to get on the system, I knew the system. I knew what the progression reads were, and I knew what the weaknesses were in the defense once I identified what the defenses were.
My question to you then, why the two guys before you that stayed at Texas Southern that ran that system wasn't as successful as you? Because to me,
they didn't master the system, and they there's always a level of talent that comes into play.
But so let me say something in this, and this is going to be elementary to you guys because you guys are doing high level calculus, what y'all are talking about. But this is elementary. Some guys are better at some things than others, right? Absolutely. And sometimes those systems ask guys to do things that they either not comfortable with or they're flat out not good at, right? And that's what I think the NFL has done for years to guys at the quarterback position. Insist on them running systems, plays, and concepts that quarterbacks that as a quarterback they don't execute well, right?
Hey,
go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Finish up.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Why would you ask a guy? Why would you draft a guy at the top of the draft and then ask him to do something that he doesn't do well?
Yeah, one of our followers were asking, and I'll let Derek lead off. Was Shedeur Sanders a game changer or game manager?
That's a great question, but I still say the same. Shedeur Sanders was a game manager. He's not a game changer at this point to me. There's things to work on, Do I think that he has every level of talent to become a game changer? Yes, he has the skill, but there are some things that I think that he can work on, and everybody always have something they can work on to help them get to the next level. And the based on the way that I've seen him progress through the years, I think he's going to work on those things this summer and identify the people that is around him know some of the things that he needs to work on. He's going to make those things to become a game changer.
Well, I'll give you my, and not necessarily on Shador. I think that the quarterback position is played upstairs up here. Uh, uh, because you've seen so many successful quarterbacks. It ain't about size per se. I think it's played up here.
Somebody has some background. Somebody. Hey, we got a caller on. Caller, please mute your background while you're on hold.
You don't. Okay.
No, go ahead. Go finish your
Yeah,
thought.
but we want to make sure we get him in. But I think the game is played up here. Okay, at the quarterback spot. I think it ain't so much of your talent. I think being in the right system is important. But it's up here. It's all up here. I've coached some great quarterbacks. Derek is considered a great quarterback. Darnell Kennedy, who finished number 6 in the NCAA passing at the time back in 2000, is a great quarterback. I think Leon Murray, who I coached at Tennessee State, is a great quarterback. And three of them played in the same system, and all three of them had the same numbers. Derek at 2,900, Darnell Kennedy at 3,000, Murray at 3,000. But Derek only played in 9 games. They played in 12 because we went to the playoffs. One went to the championship, one with. So in my experience, I think it's the quarterback, and coaching has a lot to do with it. Rocky, I see so many quarterbacks that would excite you. They drop back, their primary guy ain't open, they make everybody in the stadium miss. Okay. And sometimes they either score, get sacked, or run and get a first down, and everybody say, woo, 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 woo. But then when he start playing those better teams that can run just as fast as he can, and my quarterback, and the reason why I coached it so hard, Rocky, and Derek knows, I had a guy named Lionel Taylor. When I dropped back on 3rd down and 17, I better be ready to either go to that sail route, Rocky, which is about a 15 to 17-yard route, or to a post in. Right now. You know what I'm saying? I better not scramble out of there and try to run for 17 yards. That's what the defense wants you to do. Because they're going to come up and tackle you. Now you got to punt. You see what I'm saying? So what guys do is, and what they not being coached is, they drop back. If their primary guy ain't open, they duck their head and start scrambling and get tackled. So a lot of that has to do with that kid who's taking that snap. That coach or quarterback coach, whoever coaching, is in his ear or on his mind and say, it's 3rd and long. I got 2 options. Well, we got 3 options on the 62 route. I got the go route, give it a shot. I got the sail route. I got the post in. I'm not going to check down to my back because one of them 3 got to be open. Okay? So that's why and we all saying the truth, it's a system you in. I believe it's the guy who's taking them snaps and being coached well to understand that where I'm gonna go with this ball. Is it my primary? Is it my secondary? Is my third-dary guy? And most of all, D, I forgot to say, it's the right play. You got to call the right play to give you that opportunity to get a first down.
Right.
All right.
Great.
All right, we got a call on the line. Caller with the last 4, 1955. You're live on HBCU Coach's Corner. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, Rob, this is Marvin. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
All right,
It's a
what's up,
pleasure to
Mark?
hear you and Coach Cole. Coach Cole, it's a pleasure to hear you talk about coaching. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on them
he kind
Rattlers
of
running in
mumbling
the
to me.
combine.
Huh?
He mumbling to me. I can't hear
Oh,
him
he
clear.
coming through loud and clear, Coach. Is it?
Okay.
Yeah, Coach, I probably call that, Coach. I had a stroke about a year ago. But it's a pleasure always listening to you, Coach. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on those Rattlers running at that combine.
Oh, he wanted to hear about the Rattlers that ran at the combine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Eric Smith.
Yeah.
Eric Smith and Marquise.
Can you hear him, Derek?
Yeah, I heard it. I can't
Hey,
remember
Derek, how
the
you
young
doing?
man's name that was a defensive back from FAMU, but
Eric
Eric
Smith.
Smith.
Eric Smith.
Smith,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
he ran the 4.32. Yeah, that young man was moving, man. That was a
Yeah,
great.
they had a couple of Rattlers running out there.
Yeah, it was a great showing.
Yeah, it was a great
So,
showing.
yeah, Coach Cole.
You know, I question, and I'll ask Coach Cole is, how does a 5'8" cornerback translate in today's game, Coach?
A 5'8" cornerback. I think you can get away with that as a corner back, because after a while they move you from a cornerback to a safety. I don't think that you could be any type of wide out or anything, but I think that he could be successful in the league. I think now, everything is tall and long guy. That depends on how long his arms are. You know what I'm saying? That if he would have success in the NFL.
What about you? What about you, Derek? What do you think about the prospects of a 5'8" corner in the
Well,
NFL?
I would just like to know if I'm drafting a guy that's 5'8" and he's currently a corner, can he play safety? Because if you think about it, the guys who have been small at that stature, the Blaine Bishops of the world, those guys eventually moved to safety, and they were tough, hard hitters. At the corner position, it's going to be tough because, like Coach Cole said, the receivers are tall, long, and rangy. And it all depends. The guy could be 5'8" with 6'3" arms, though. And that makes a big difference.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for Marvin for calling in, man. We appreciate it, my brother.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Cole. Thank you, Derek.
God, thank you, man.
Appreciate
Coach,
you, man.
I wanted to get into our last topic, coaching, because I think you have a very unique perspective in this, coach, of being that you were an innovator in some ways when it came to this particular aspect of coaching that exists now. And let me tell you what.
Coach, Rob, hold that point for 1 minute. Let me read this off.
Okay.
At the HBCU combine, you had Eric Smith, who ran a 4.32. You had Travion Sherman Green, ran a 4.4. You had a John Huggins, ran a 4.40 as well.
Mm-hmm.
You had Jason Hazel, ran a 4.47. And you had J. Vavion Morton, who ran a 4.47. That's moving, Coach. That's moving. So I want to make sure we give our people that information on our combine. So we got some kids that's running faster than guys that are actually at the combine, the big combine. But go ahead, Coach. Start with your question.
No, Coach. What I was talking about is we're talking about the transfer portal, and today Charlie Baker, who is the president of NCAA, in an interview with ESPN, stated today, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that he's not for any change in the current transfer rule, right? He doesn't suggest that the NCAA make any changes, nor does state legislatures or federal or Congress make any changes to the current rules. He also went on to say that coaches, have freedom of movement as well, and the players are, they want freedom of movement also. And I just wanted to get what's your thoughts about the current situation with the transfer portal, and and what does that do how does that change coaching, or how does that impact coaching moving forward?
Well, I read the article on it, and he's for the players. Ain't no doubt. He's for the players, and he stated that he's talked to coaches as well as talked to players, and players feel that if a coach can run out of his contract, then why we can't run out of ours? Which makes a point. My thing is about the portal. It's hard for you to establish. It's gotten harder for you to establish a program. I don't think that you're gonna see a whole bunch of turnover from players as well as coaches. Everybody is running for the bag. It ain't about the game no more. It ain't about camaraderie and team, each accomplish more. It's all about the bag. It's all about how much money you can make. It's all about me getting somewhere where I can play. Now, will it have an effect on the college football? Yes, the same way it has effect on the NFL. You know what I mean? Whatever team that you can, and the only thing about the NFL is that I can cut you. If you don't like it, I can cut you. More so in college football, you ain't got to worry about cutting a guy. He can leave. You know what I'm saying? And the difference between playing in the NFL is you playing with men. It's a job. It ain't about emotions. It ain't about, hey, rah, sis come by, let me get a college degree. It ain't about that. Unless a kid takes it on himself to say, yeah, I'm a bounce, but I'm going to make sure I get my degree. So now you have put that responsibility in a kid's hand, as well as a young man that's at a job, that knowing that I got to do this, and be able to stay working. Now in college I just bounce. What about the educational piece of it?
Well,
that's what I worry about, number one. Number two, go ahead.
Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
Number two, and what's the most important to me is Johnnie Cole got a son that goes to Clemson or whatever, goes to Taboo University. And the coach at Taboo University said, son, you ain't developing. I'm taking your scholarship. Now that rolls downhill to a parent, that Mike can't afford to get him at another school, or Mike can't afford to pay him. So what happens to that kid?
Yeah.
That's what, at the end of the day, college football is supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Now, should the players make money? Yes, they should make money. But to me, the NCAA now is $1 billion industry now, Derek. $1 billion, almost. You can pay every player that lines up not only to play football, play any NCAA sport, and put a number out there where they can make money.
Well, in doing my research about this topic, I found out a few things, right? So I believe it was 2017, 2018, maybe even earlier. The coaches actually voted to allow graduate transfers to be allowed without sitting out. The coaches voted for that, right? So the guys who graduated from college would have the opportunity to transfer without the penalty of sitting out. So that's the coaches wanted that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw with guys like Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. There are a number of guys who were graduate transfer who went on to do very well in college. I mean, those guys really are the two top paid players in the NFL right now: Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow. And so they went on to do very well at the transfer. Joe Burrow went on to win a national championship at LSU. Jalen Hurts had a very successful campaign at Oklahoma. Well, in 2001, in 2021, the NCAA passed a rule that allowed revenue sports, which is mainly women's basketball, men's basketball, football, to have the same privilege that all the non-revenue sports have had for over 20 years. And that is to be able to transfer one time without sitting out, right? So hockey, baseball, golf, all those guys have been able to transfer without sitting out. The revenue sports weren't able to, right? So my question as I bring Derek into the conversation, how would you have handled the transfer portal as a player, considering how your career went? Would you have used it? I know we're only speculating here, Derek, but
Right.
you were a guy that actually did transfer, right? But you also admit that in the conversation that there was a time where you had to sit and wait your turn as well. So how do you think you would have used the portal to advance your career?
Rocky, I would have left as soon as I could. But one of the things I would have done, and I think that's a big, it's a big problem in the transfer portal. It's not how many kids go in the portal and come out. It's how many kids that go in and get stuck, right? So
30% of all guys that enter the portal either end up with no scholarship or have to go down a level.
Yeah. And so what they're doing is they're actually, giving up their education on the hopes of making the NFL. And they're betting a lot on that, which, we know what the numbers are on actually getting into the NFL. But, with the transfer portal comes right now, I think the kids are more driven about NIL and collectives, which is all under NIL, but it's really, two different things. I mean, most of the kids aren't going to go play NFL, and they're looking at the financial piece of leaving one school and go to the next, which it puts it puts a strain on everybody all the way around, except those few guys who are at the elite of the elite to be able to go from one school to another. When I started seeing guys who were starting on one program and successful here and leaving to go to another program because this program can offer them more money, I said, things are going real south with this NIL and collective stuff. And then when I know kids that are considered betting on themselves and leaving programs and leaving scholarships and not getting their degree first, and coaches pushing other kids out so they can make room for other kids, it puts a big black eye, I think, on college football. And then it makes it as if where you used to have that space to grow from a young man to a man, it just takes away all that space down the way NIL and the money and the transfer portal and being able to make some decisions that you're not really mature enough to make.
Well, here's what else is doing too. The portal makes it harder on kids coming out of high school as well.
Yeah.
Meaning less, and there's less opportunities for them as well. It's almost double. You're getting double recruited. So, but back to the guy at the NCAA, I hope that when he talks, that he's looking at all angles on how this portal is, to me, over. I mean, as a coach, Nick Saban, it ran Nick Saban out. Let's just face it. It ran Nick Saban out of coaching. You ain't gonna find no more Nick Sabans, Willie Hayes, some of these old guys that are disciplinarians. You ain't gonna find that no more. It's almost like the prisoners is running the prison now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't say that to a kid. he gone. He out.
Yeah.
You know, I just hope I hope they're doing a study. I promise that I hope they're doing a study of how many of these kids that are transferring that actually are going on to get their degrees where they are. I
Well,
think that's the big thing.
Well, Coach, there's a lot of data out there, and again, the issue is, and there are a lot of numbers all over the place, right? So there's some people will say there's 4,000 football players that enter the portal each year, and all that, But I'll just say in 2022, between December and January, this is 2022, 983 players left to enter the portal. That's just one window. That's just one window. And only 61% of those players, 61% of those players ended up either stuck in the portal or going back to the school that they was originally at. You understand what I'm saying? So that means that the portal is really working for about 40% of the players, Coach, that enter the portal. When you really think about it, if you enter the portal and you end up back at your own school, or if you enter the portal and you end up, without a destination, what did you enter the portal for?
Well, here's my question too. In the numbers, how many high school kids are being left out? How many kids that when the coach called them into the office, damn them numbers, because everybody is cool. I want to know the numbers that's hurting the kids. How many kids are losing their scholarships? And how many high school kids are not having the opportunity to go to school and be on scholarship?
Coach, what I believe. Go ahead, Derek.
No, I think it does affect high school kids, but the number of kids that I think what the unique thing about what's happening with the portal and when it happened, it also, what people are not taking into factor is COVID. So what COVID did was it gave people 6th and 7th years. It put an extra group of people that normally would have had to have been exiled out of the system. They were able to stay in the system. So you got kids, you got another probably 1,000, 2,000, I'm just saying, number of kids in that number that in next year, because this is the last year for COVID kids to have it in, those kids are going to be gone and out, and we're going to be back to the same numbers. You only got the same number of scholarships. You got the same number of kids entering into college football, and then you got the same number of kids transferring. I think COVID is the issue why the numbers are what they are. That makes it makes the system.
You know what I think is more impactful for high school kids?
I think,
to be honest with you,
COVID is the problem, not the transfer portal.
No, so I think, I think high school kids now have more access to playing at the next level than they ever have. For this reason, because of the kids no longer have to test in order to qualify, right? So a kid that may have went out of high school, that may have went to the University of Texas, he may now have to go to Texas State. He may now have to go to North Texas, right? And prove himself and then transfer over. That's what I think has changed about high school, is that there are going to be some kids who Texas is not going to take 25 high schoolers anymore, especially when they can look through the portal and find guys who can fill their roster. As they manage their roster, they can fill their roster. But certainly there are going to be schools like North Texas, Texas State, other, and we call them lower level school, but they're Division I schools that have access to kids that otherwise they would not get if it wasn't for the transfer portal. They wouldn't have access to those kids if it would not.
Yeah, they wouldn't have access to those kids, but those kids still would have, the high school kids would still have an opportunity to go to college, because they just won't be able to go to Texas. They will go to North Texas. But I'm saying with COVID flooded the market with more people in there than we had spaces for. And so with COVID happening 3 years ago and these kids that means 4 classes of graduating seniors were affected by COVID and a kid staying 1 more year. I mean, my daughter, I have a daughter that played Division I soccer. And you had kids who got a medical red shirt year versus COVID. And then they looking at, okay, they're on scholarship. And then the NCAA did not allow for more scholarships. They kept the same number of scholarships, but they had more kids flooding the market than what they gave scholarships.
I think y'all all what y'all said is correct. I'm taking it to another level as a coach. All right, I'm sitting as a coach, and I need to get me some transfer kids. Now, it used to be where you had to write down everything on getting rid of a kid. If he's a knucklehead, if he wasn't getting his grades, yada yada. Now, and you couldn't get rid of a kid on his physical talent. Now you can just knock on his door like the NFL and say, "Give me your playbook," because I got to create room to get me some portal kids. Are we on? So
Yeah.
I'm taking y'all off that page onto this page.
Because
What happens to those kids that don't develop like you wanted to or don't develop fast enough? Now I gotta knock on your door and say, "Give me your playbook," like in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a job. This is about getting an education. What about them kids? Them the kids that I'm concerned about.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a great point. But
yeah,
but
you said though. You said
I'm saying because I have a point to make on that is coaches have a number. Every coach on every level have only so many scholarships that they can give, right? And so within that, within having said that is they're only going to be able to have so many spots regardless. So whether it's a portal kid who take that spot or whether it's a high school kid that take that spot's going to be taken. But that means that there's going to be more kids. When that spot is taken, that means there's a spot open somewhere else because there's only so many number of kids that are going to be able to come into the system. I go back to COVID again. COVID flooded the system, which pushed kids out. On top of the fact that the transfer portal came through. Transfer portal wouldn't be as effective in affecting high school kid had it not been for COVID. That's my point. Because that spot that transfer portal from the kid from North Texas took and went to Texas, that left a spot open at North Texas for that high school kid.
You know how they do at church there?
Hey, coach, you the coach. It's your room. It's your room. Yeah.
Every year you get 30 initial scholarships on the 1AA level to sign. You get 25 on 1AA level. So you got to create. So let's just say 30 kids leave. You can only bring 25 in.
Coach, you're saying the same thing.
You see what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. You're just doing math. But what I'm telling you, when you got 50 spots and you got 100 folks in there, there's still gonna be 50 left. You know, we're talking simple math. And then the market through COVID and the transfer portal just flooded the availability of people. And therefore that's where the numbers got sideways. I think in 2 years, the issue of high school kids not being picked up is going to change because they're going to have to go somewhere and you're going to have to recruit because you got other kids exiting.
Hey, we got a caller. We got Jay on the line from Baton Rouge. Is that correct, Jay?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what do you got for Coach Cole, Jay?
I'm just saying the transfer portal is getting out of control and it's playing right in the hands of the powers to be. And they're going to get out of control. Them white boys are going to come in and fix it. And the thing's going to go right back to us before the transfer portal became relevant. And the money these players getting, that's going to go away probably $1,000. What they get now, they better enjoy them. They're going to come in and fix the portal. They're going out of control now. They come in and fix it.
Hold up, Jay. You do know the portal was created because of pending litigation against the NCAA. They didn't change it because they wanted to. They changed it because there were pending litigation against them, right? There were lawsuits that had been won at a lower level, and they probably were going to be upheld by the Supreme Court. So in that case, can they turn it back to the way it was?
Yeah, they're revisiting it now. They're going to have legislation coming later this summer in Congress and the Senate about the transfer portal, mainly because of NIL deal. And they want to where none of these Power 5 players will go to HBCU or any other FCS school. They're coming in the pipe. Just keep your eyes open.
Okay. Jay says keep our eyes open. The portal rules are changing, and then we're gonna go back to the old system because the good old boys don't like all them black boys getting all that money.
Hey, yeah.
Look at here, man. This is the reality, and this is from my perspective as a fan and as a businessman. Yeah. I'm in favor of the transfer portal and freedom of movement because it's more like the open market, the marketplace, and players get if a coach can take advantage of their success and their abilities and their talents, I think players should have the right to do so to the fullest of their ability as well. Again, most of these guys will only be able to make money playing football while they're in college. After college, most of those guys are finished with football, and I'm glad we're at a day where those guys can go out and make not only them some money, but make their family some money while playing football at a school that's raking in millions.
Agree.
I agree.
You know, I again, does it change?
You know what I think though, and like I told you, Rocky, I care about the kids. I think all that's good. I just care about the kids and the parents that somebody comes up and knocks on that kid's door, and because he hadn't developed fast enough as a player to take his scholarship.
Yeah.
I believe the NCAA make enough money to say, okay, son, you can either stay here and we'll continue to pay you for your scholarship.
But coach, I mean, I think we probably need to look into that because I know on the soccer level, D1 soccer level.
See, that's a non-revenue sport, Derek. But go ahead.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I said they have to look into that. You know what I mean? I mean to really, you know, to make sure that is the case. You know, and you would know that better than I would, but I know in non-revenue sports, I should say.
Right.
Well, again, that's.
Hey, I don't know. Did Derek come on earlier when you let him know that non-revenue sports been doing this?
Yeah,
no. We're not talking about even going into the transfer portal, having being a parent of a child that went through the transfer portal. You had to sign that you were foregoing your the financial wherewithal that the university
athletic
was
aid,
giving you
athletic
when
aid.
you got into the portal.
Yeah,
you had to acknowledge that in writing.
Derek,
they couldn't just take your scholarship regardless.
And Rocky, Derek, Derek has a wonderful family, and can you just about your daughter? She's one of the few girls that and the stuff that she does.
Oh, so my daughter now currently, I mean, was a scholarship athlete, University of Missouri. It was an IMG top 100 in her class coming out, and she chose to go to Missouri over Vanderbilt and a couple of the Ivy League schools. And her time at Mizzou, she was there 2 years, and things just didn't work out for her, you know. And I mean, not to go all into what all happened, but it just wasn't a good fit. And she decided that she didn't want to play soccer anymore. She wanted to come home. So she came home. We live in Dallas, but she ended up going to school at University of Houston, was there 2 weeks and decided, hey, Dad, I think I want to go back out and play soccer again. Well, when she went out and played soccer, coach went out there and said, yeah, we'd love to have you. You know, we know about you, this, that, and other, but we have no money for you. You know, we got these girls here that are, you know, that are staying another year because of COVID. And so she went out there, played, whatever. Then she gained a full scholarship there, graduated, and currently she's working for and going to graduate school at Texas Christian University, working in the athletic department, and she works specifically with NIL and the collective. So we have these
Brilliant.
conversations all the time about scholarship athletes and NIL and HBCUs versus PWIs, African American females and PWIs, and you know these conversations all the time. And she just currently just left last week from NCAA, a workshop that they had in Indianapolis, talking about NIL and collectives and the things that are going on within that space. So,
Well, because
You know,
of
so Derek not only talking from when he played ball. I mean, his daughter. I mean, man, just brilliant mind, beautiful, athletic. His wife is beautiful, athletic, daughters. So you know, they talk all the time. You know, and they you know, I love them to death. They PB Texas Southern. You know, we bump. And you know, we rap all the time. So I appreciate you, Derek, sharing that. So he ain't just talking from a seat of a player. He's talking from his daughter's she in the war, she in the battle. So
well,
yeah.
Derek, let me ask you this, right?
Uh-huh.
I from because of, and I won't mention how, but I get a close-up look at the athletes that come in and get the NIL deals in
Okay.
our community.
Right.
And a lot of those guys look like me, right? The deals are delved out through another agency that's supposedly not related to the school, right?
Right. Correct.
And they're telling these guys what they can have, what they can't have, whatever. And it's something about it, Derek, that doesn't seem quite right, that they have to go through this particular entity in order to get compensated. They couldn't just go out as individuals and find their own
So
deal.
the way the NIL works is two pieces to it, right? You have the collectives, which is when Deion said Nick Saban is not talking to me, he's talking to his board, he's talking to his donors, he's talking about the collective. That's a whole pool of money that coaches, the athletic director of the collective say, hey, look, we got $1 million, and the coach can split that $1 million within the players he wants. Now, the schools cannot directly go out and get NIL deals for the players. That's why on the NIL deals, you have these companies, these marketing companies now trying to represent kids, you know, to these young athletes for us getting in the marketing deals, you know what I mean? And so they are getting a percentage of that, which is if the school does not directly handle NIL deals.
Well, my question is, when these kids go into these meetings without representation, without their parents, to get whatever money is available, what are they signing away? Like, I want to know, what are they signing away?
Well, I
When
mean,
they sign up with these collectives.
that's the part. Yeah, that's the part where that company who is representing them to get that deal is supposed to represent them as an agent, and they making their fees out of that. It's just like an NFL agent, or
But there are no parents. The student doesn't have an attorney or anything like that.
most of the kids are 21 or older anyway, or you in most time you're 18 or older. In most states, if you're 18, you're an adult. You can make your own decisions about what you
But
want to sign.
okay. Yes, they are an adult, Derek, but are they skilled in negotiating these
no.
kind of deals?
No, they're not. They're not.
Of course,
And
of
all
course not.
and my question to you is, Derek, and this is just my cynical nature.
Yeah.
These kids are being ushered in, signing these deals, no parents, no representation. Could it be that they're getting taken advantage of by the school and the collective?
Well, not by the. I wouldn't say by the school, but I mean, I wouldn't say by the school or the collective, but I think they can be taken advantage of by the person who is giving them some money, and they may not be getting all the money that they could get, but that's just representation, and that's with anything and anything in life. That if you don't have the best representation, you know what the court system is like. You know what I mean? The best representation is usually the one who get the best deal. You know what I mean?
If I was 21, 18, whatever, and you told me to sign this document, right, and I'm gonna get $20,000, I probably would sign it. And I'm not reading it. But I think we're in a day and age.
You have to know where there's money and there's one individual to another individual that can be distrust. And if I make money off of you and save money off of you, then that just means that I make more money. You know what I mean? So yeah, there are. That's why representation is so important. But you can have a parent sitting there, Rocky, who don't understand marketing, don't understand advertising, don't understand the worth of their kid, and be taken advantage of. So that's why you have to have a good representation.
Yeah, well, like I say, the game is so crazy now is because one thing about it, the coaches can't talk money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The coaches make that clear that they can't talk money. The parents, that's all they want to talk. That's all the kids want to talk.
Yeah.
You know, but the coaches can't talk money. So they put the collective in it. And the collective, in my opinion, is about keeping the most money and paying the least. They're not about giving the kid as much value as that kid has. They're about equitably trying to spread the money out to all the kids, right?
Well, for as the collective side of, they're not really looking at what value the kid can bring to the school other than athletically. You know, that's where the money.
So they're not signing over any rights when the collective pays.
No, because when you think about the University of Utah, when the University of Utah said all of our scholarship athletes in this collective, we're going to give you Toyota trucks. That meant that this is a lease truck. This is owned by the collective. You can drive this for a year. If you don't come back next year, you don't get to keep this truck. That truck goes to someone else. So they have guidelines in place, you know, but if you are a recruit,
that's not real money then. If I can't keep it, that's not real money.
No, but you got access, Rocky. You don't have to have the money if you got access to it. If I got Coach Cole and Coach Cole is a millionaire and I got access to money, I don't have to have it in my pocket.
Having access to $1 million is totally different than having $1 million in your bank account. And
absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's what see, those are the things that I'm talking about, is about, are they, because I want the kids to get that cold, hard guap.
Yeah.
And it seems like to me, they trying to keep the kids from getting cold, hard cash for some reason. They trying to put benefits and incentives around the services or you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think these families, you know, and I know, these families could really use some cold, hard cash.
Yeah, they could.
A truck is nice, but I can't send my mama no truck. I can't send my mama no money from.
Well, you know, and I'm sure schools like Utah and their collective, that's not all they're doing, but
okay.
That's not all they're doing. They doing some payments. Trust me, they're doing some payments because you can't get the athletes now without giving the payments, you know. And these kids are, I mean, these kids now, you know, with this collective, man, some of these kids making $200,000 and $300,000.
So did you believe it when Matt Rule said it takes $8 million to get a 5-star quarterback?
Oh, Rule is at Nebraska.
Yeah.
He said 1.5. That's the going rate. 1.5 million for a quarterback. Yeah, yeah, and
Wow.
I believe it.
Wow.
Is that annually or for the 4 years that he's there?
Well, most of the time you think about it, it's probably it's going to be annually because you got kids reconsidering draft status and collectives and whether or not I know a guy personally who is probably the top 10. He would be considered the top 10 point guard in the NCAA right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
He may go second round or he may go overseas. He's considering whether or not he's going to come back and play another year of college basketball because he's being offered more money than he would be guaranteed to go play, to take a chance on being a second round draft pick and getting cut.
Wow.
I'll just go play another year in college and I'll make more money that way.
Wow.
Those are the decisions that these athletes are having to make, you know. When, you know, like you're saying, weighing the option of one more year of college, because I got this one last year, or either taking my chance and going overseas.
And Derek, and before we wrap up, because I think for the elite guys, for the real elite guys, the 1%ers, and that's what I like to call them, the 1%ers, for those guys, the calculation is easy. You go get the money. You know what I mean? The 1%ers. But for that second tier players,
right?
Those fringe players, those fringe guys who have a chance at making the NFL, I think those guys, if they are stars, should always stay another year in college, because I think colleges provides the platform to them to be compensated better than a free agent or even a rookie deal, to be perfectly honest with you.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. You know, those are hard business decisions that those young men and, you know, young women have to make. You know, you got Angel Reese, you got Paige Becker, you know, these women in basketball, they're making that decision that I'm going to stay in college. And I may stay in college so long that when I finish, I have my PhD. But they're going to make more money than the WNBA, you know?
I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I completely, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned, as far as when you talk about women's sports. There's no reason to go if you're a star and you're cashing in like Angel Reese, and there is no reason to go.
Yeah,
you know?
not at all. I mean, you know, because you're not going to make that kind of money in the WNBA. You know, it's just not that. You know, you can't say it's not for them to say it because they're going to be looked upon.
And college stars, and this is the honest to God truth. College stars go to the NBA to disappear.
Yeah,
I mean WNBA to disappear.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what I mean? They no longer are relevant once they go to the WNBA unless it's an Olympic year. You understand?
Right.
If it's not an Olympic year, those guys are largely off the radar. Whereas Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, they're box office right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Derek, man, I really enjoyed the conversation, man. We didn't had you on here a long time, and I want to thank everybody who stayed tuned with us, man.
Definitely.
Derek, you've been a great guest. But before you go, I want to let our people, our followers know where can they find you, what you're doing. Tell us, you know, what's going on with you, man, and how can they help you, or how can you help them?
Well, hey, first of all, man, anytime that Coach Cole is doing something, man, and I can be a part of, man, especially with the game of football, I tell people all the time, watching football with Coach Cole is a different experience, you know, because he brings such knowledge to the game and a perspective that, you know, you just can't get even as a longtime player. You know, when you sit down with a coach as knowledgeable as him, you know, you learn a lot, man. And I'm in Dallas. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I'm in the party rental business, and our company, what we do is we supply party rental equipment to some of the largest food restaurants. I mean, popular chains like Papa Do's, Dickies, and so we provide table and chairs to large events. You know, maybe they're feeding 400 or 500 different people. We work with some of the top companies, Fortune 500 companies, as a African American business. And we work with quite a few athletes. I mean, from Von Miller to Earl Spence. You know, we work with Michael Crabtree and Tim Brown and things like that for their foundations and putting on events for kids in the Metroplex, and then also working with tons of churches. And this business is part of the ministry that my family we've been able to help and bless, you know, people in the community in smaller churches and things like that when they're doing outreach. So again, man, I love the show, man. I've been behind the scenes listening to you guys go at it for a while, man. And I like the flavor and the camaraderie you guys have, but also the differences to bring the different perspectives and the love for HBCU football. Since you said it's okay for me to curse, I always tell Coach Cole that HBCUs are the bridge between mama's kitty and the real world. You know, that's where you learn to grow. That's where you get your nourishment. And our schools were set up for every African American male or female to be educated, you know. And if we can't land at an HBCU, if we can't get jobs at an HBCU, if we cannot donate to HBCUs, I mean, what are we here for? You know what I mean? There are places for African Americans at PWIs, but there should always be a place for African American to thrive and be, you know, and do what they need to do and learn what they need to learn at HBCU. So that's my spiel, my brother.
Hey, and as you bring up the HBCUs, I just want to add this one little point before we go. I think the the transfer portal has really helped HBCUs in their acquisition of talent. I think there are kids who, had it not been for the transfer portal, will never have had the experience that they had to be on the campus of a Jackson State or a FAMU or Texas Southern. You know, yeah, absolutely. And so I think for that reason alone, to me, the transfer portal is a huge success. And Coach Cole, take us out of here, Coach.
Hey, man, I can't say enough about Mr. Singleton and his family. And, you know, of course, he's a Texas Southern graduate, HBCU. His wife is a Prairie View graduate, HBCU. And I can't say enough about this. Is just an example. They're a power couple.
Whenever you say Prairie View, Coach, you know we got to do this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Rocky, man, I just want to thank you. I know we started, man, almost a year ago.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And thanks to your lovely wife that said that, Cole, you need to talk to him because he loved this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And, man, I'm just so blessed, man. You know, sometimes maybe I'm not doing what I want to do, but I'm doing God's work, man. And as long as I can get on shows like this and promote and push African Americans, promote and push college athletics, man, you know, I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? But hey, like I always
I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You know? But hey, like I always say, Coach,
when you feel yourself at that end of the road, tie a knot, hold on tight, because ain't nobody bad like you.